So anyway, anime.
Yes.
Weeb the People podcast. Yeah, there's our banter. We filled that out.
We filled that void.
Oh, shit. Taki mushroom.
What is up, family? Welcome to session number 5, take 2 of session number 5 of Weeb the People podcast, our AniMondays segment. How y'all doing? As always, I am your host, Jay, and to my left and to my right, as always, my handsome and lovely co-hosts.
Yeah.
Kenny B, how's everybody doing? I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. To my front.
I mean, yes.
I'm
It's a little odd to say, but yes. I really like the handsome and lovely part, so let's stick with that. Audio listeners, I am your lovely and handsome host, Robert, also known as Cars. To you video watchers, just don't worry about it. Today we're going to talk about something other than Bruce Lee. Maybe. I don't know. It's pretty cool talking about Bruce Lee.
We can talk about Bruce Lee.
He'll come back in here.
Yeah, he might navigate his way back into the conversation. I mean, it's not like it's super tangential, right? It's like he's part of Asian cinema and
there's martial arts.
Animes.
Martial arts influence.
Yeah,
I mean, look at Spike.
Heard that,
Spike is heavily from Cowboy Bebop. Spike's heavily influenced by Bruce Lee.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
I
very
actually
explicit.
did not know this.
Oh yeah,
Hair,
explicitly
everything.
so. Like in the beginning, when you first see him, he's doing like the martial arts scene, like in the ship.
Oh,
Yeah, his
okay.
character and his martial arts are very heavily styled after Bruce Lee. Even the part where he's teaching the one ruffian guy, the thief guy, how to fight, and he's teaching him to like flow like water and stuff. It's all Bruce Lee inspired.
Okay.
Yeah, he's
See,
very
look at that.
precise but loose at the same time.
Yes, exactly. It's all about using your opponent
cool.
against you and just flowing and being
I feel
like
like
water.
Cowboy Bebop doesn't get a lot of credit for like their what's the word? Their fight scenes and stuff.
Oh,
their
it's so
action.
good.
It's really good.
Especially with how far back and how early it was, and because nowadays you have all the cinematography and CGI and assistance and all this other stuff, and rotoscoping is popular. But back then it was just like hand drawn with a pencil, like these
Yeah.
martial arts
Yeah.
scenes. It was really impressive.
Yeah. So when a fight scene is choreographed and executed real well, the choreographed is the word you're looking for.
Choreography.
Yeah, I use that word a
Choreography
lot.
of the
Yeah.
show.
So it's in here. I don't need word.
I don't need no
They
words.
escape me every now and then, like a
Oh,
chimney.
that's actually pretty cool. I did not know that. See, look at that. You learn something new about even the old school animes every single day.
Yeah, Cowboy Bebop's loaded with cool shit. So
Yeah.
Well, now we're gonna learn something new about Spy Family.
because we watched a couple more episodes.
Yeah, yeah. So we kind of skipped out last week on episode number 3 because we had our wonderful guest, Will Shoop.
Please check that episode out, guys.
Yeah.
Bro, that was a really good episode. Really bring back the curtains and showed us, the behind the scenes of what's going on and everything. It was really dope.
Not to mention a lot of fun stories that were just like hilarious and joyful.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll definitely bring Will back again if you guys enjoyed that episode because he's got quite a repertoire of stories, and
Lot of
I don't
insight.
think we even scratched the surface of exactly like the amount of
He was
experience
just
that
getting
he's
warmed
had.
up,
Yeah,
yeah.
he was
Oh,
just getting warmed up. He was like,
Yeah.
if you just let me have.
Because he's like, yeah, we've only had like an hour. I could keep going for another
Yeah.
5,
He
6
was like,
hours
that was
easy.
that was it after we
Yeah.
finished. Like,
Yeah,
what?
he's like,
Keep
let me
going,
have
man.
the stage and I'll perform a couple of what do you call it when comedians go on stage?
Stand
Like,
up?
Yeah, stand up. Like how is that? Like do they call it a
Oh,
session?
improv or session? Yeah,
Session.
Yeah, he'll do like a few sessions, and he'll just like speak and speak.
Speak.
Yeah, but we are back on the regularly scheduled programming. So, like we said, we're gonna go ahead and continue our review of Spy Fam, episode 3, the move-in day.
It was so cute.
Yeah.
It was so cute.
You know what I noticed? You know how in episode 2 where we were talking about exactly how well Furuhashi-san does the pacing?
Yeah.
This episode is like a pivot.
Yeah. It's
I've already snapped 4 times today.
was that 4 or 5?
That was number 4.
I like how you did it again when you were explaining it.
Yeah. Damn.
But yeah, it was a pivot episode because the first 2 were kind of like high octane, right? You've got Lloyd taking out Edgar and his Goonies, and then second one you get your son, and she's doing her.
Oh, yeah.
she's
She can
killing
kick shit.
everybody. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
killing a lot of people. And then the conclusion to episode 2 was the explosive
explosive
proposal,
wedding, yeah.
right?
You guys caught that, right? That was fucking dope.
Yeah.
We left it for you to watch in that episode.
Yeah.
That session we spoke in, we told you to watch it, so you better have watched it.
My boy put a grenade pin on her finger.
Yeah.
While
you know
while
it's
the
real.
grenade exploded.
While it exploded.
You know how we were talking exactly how great Lloyd is at improv? The guy can improv anything. Oh, I lost my diamond ring, but I have this grenade pin. Yeah.
Whatever works, my dude.
Yeah.
I mean, that fits better, if you think
It
about
does. It does. I think that's why she said yes. I think she would have said no if it was a diamond ring.
You think so?
No, she would have said yes at least to keep up the front.
Oh man.
But yeah, the pacing is a really good point, and I think that's for a reason because as it goes into the school and the interview, it's not as hardcore action packed. There's not like, oh, we've already introduced these characters. They're no longer fighting. There's no stakes right now other than getting into school.
Yeah.
And so if they just kept like throwing bad guys at us and fight scenes, the show would have gotten old. But because they made that shift and that pivot to, hey, now there's this different tone, there's this different goal, there's a different mission now.
Yeah. We now get to explore how to interact in a family dynamic.
Yeah, a more casual
right?
setting.
During the move-in.
Yeah.
During episode 3 is basically them kind of getting settled in, moving Yoru-san into the home.
It took like 2 seconds.
Dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. It seems like Yoru-san really fell into that nurturing role super easily.
I feel like
easily.
she must have had some kind of void there. Maybe she's thinking of her brother. I don't know. But yeah, Anya, she immediately was just like, "You're mine now. I'm adopting you.
Yeah.
This is legitimate. This is no longer a mission."
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for her to admit it to herself because we could see her like it's clicking, but it hasn't. No, I'm snapping.
Yeah.
But it hasn't registered yet.
No, so one of the things that I noticed when I was watching the episode is that every single time Anya would refer to her as mom, right? Mama, like Anya's like, I'm happy I have a mama now.
Yeah.
She'd blush.
Yeah, she blushes.
She'd blush. So
Yor blushes a lot, quite easily. Yeah.
She does. But I noticed that every time Anya would refer to her as mama, and she would refer to both her and Lloyd as her parents, right? She'd blush. So it seems like even though inherently she knows that the whole situation is made up, right?
Yeah.
They're all kind of in it for their own
Reasons.
for their own selfish reasons.
She's got a lot of cute awkward. It's very nice to see though.
Like she can't help herself kind of just fall into this nurturing role because I mean, let's face it, dude. Like Anya is extremely endearing.
Oh,
right?
exceedingly so.
Yeah.
They nailed the adorable little
Yeah,
girl.
like
vibe.
when she walks in, it's like, welcome to my house.
Yes. And she's like, I can wash my face. I'm a big girl. And I was like,
Yeah. Dude, that's another thing that I noticed when Anya was giving her the tour, which is so freaking adorable.
Right.
Immediately, like without noticing it, like I said, Yoru-san falls into that very motherly, nurturing role. Like when Anya said, you know how when kids play grown up, and then they're interacting with adults, the mom or the dad will kind of like reinforce that behavior, like oh, good job, you're a grown up now, right? Kind of like reinforcing that good behavior. And I noticed that a lot when Yoru-san was interacting with Anya.
Yeah, Yor was very much involved. She wasn't just like, oh, that's nice. She was like, wow, you're doing so good. Wow, you're a big girl. Wow, hello, to like the Chimera. She like went right into playing with Anya. Like there was no hesitation. There was no, oh, this is uncomfortable or awkward.
Yeah.
It was like, this is natural.
Yeah, even when she was like, when Anya was playing make believe, she kind of not recognizes, but well, she kind of like validates Anya's imaginary friend.
Oh, yes.
Like, oh, hey, let me introduce you to Chimera-san.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, hello, Chimera-san.
Yeah,
It's
hello,
very nice
Mr.
to meet
Chimera.
you.
Yeah.
She's not like, I think if that was Lloyd, he would have been like, who's this? Your stuffed animal?
I like how Lloyd was every time Anya was explaining like how she was doing something very grown up. Lloyd was still like throwing her under the bus and stuff.
Lloyd
He
was
was
so
just completely throwing
straightforward.
under the bus.
Yeah, she's like, I did this and I helped with this. And Lloyd's like, you weren't much help. No, you did terrible. What was that? The complete, almost like the opposite of yours.
Yeah, when they were talking
But
about cooking.
not in a malicious manner. Just like that's just his personality. He just says things like, "Oh, here's this. He means nothing by it one way or the other. He's just stating something he observed."
Like, I helped clean. Nah, you made a mess, dude.
Yeah, I made cookies. No,
No, actually,
I made
you made a mess and then
Nah,
he kept on crying.
You exploded the flour.
Yeah, and the whole time he's on Anya's shock face.
Dude, you know what I just thought of? I maybe it's on purpose, but I'm wondering, Chimera, the mascot, because you know how chimeras are a combination of like different parts that don't really belong together.
Yeah.
And then you have Yoru-san, Lloyd,
Oh,
and then Anya.
I think it's supposed to be a symbol of them.
metaphor.
Yeah, I think it's a
I was thinking
metaphor,
that too when I was
right?
watching
Because they're a
it, yeah.
combination of these disparate entities that are just
Interesting,
fused
yeah.
together into one situation.
I let that go right.
I don't know.
by me, man.
Maybe it's a reach, but
I know. Now that you
could
bring
see
it up,
it.
yeah.
I
Now
could
that
see
you
it.
bring it up, I see it too. Yeah.
yeah.
It's very interesting.
Oh, I did wanna ask you guys something. There was a scene early in the episode where you know how Yoru-san, after she finishes cleaning her room, and then Lloyd comes in there and kind of checks up on her, and Yoru-san has a picture of Yuri on her dresser.
Oh, facing the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Lloyd observes like, oh, this must be your brother Yuri, right? I should probably introduce myself to him, because we're quote unquote in a relationship now, right? And I was really curious as to why they didn't show his face. I think that's gonna be a major plot point.
It seems like a setup.
Yeah.
Because you have the phone call, you have the I'm going to be distant, you have the I got this promotion, I'm going to go away for a while, and you have the picture that's not facing us.
Yeah,
and it seems like a very obvious setup. So maybe they're going to set up like he's the bad guy, or maybe they're setting it up to mislead us too. They could,
he's definitely coming off as more important than what they're trying to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my theory too. I'm thinking somewhere down along the line, it might be a conflict point within the show where when Yuri is finally introduced, we find out that maybe he's for the opposing party.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe he's another spy or something.
Yeah. Something along those lines. Like he's going to introduce some kind of complication. Like I said, I could be reaching, right? Just like with the Chimera thing.
Yeah, I mean, we might be reading too much into it.
Yeah. But I mean, when you see those kind of things in movies, they always play out like how I'm thinking. They always play out like that.
But the writers could be thinking that we're thinking that.
Yes, using it as a plot device to misdirect you.
Oh, you read my plan, but I read that you would read my plan, so I've made this plan.
I subverted your expectations.
You thought it was going to be the bad guy, but it was me, Dio.
Fucking Dio, bro. Oh, but you're right. They could actually just be using that as some kind of misdirection, because you know how in a lot of shonen where we never really get introduced to the dad. Whenever a dad is in the picture, it's like it's just a faceless person.
Yeah.
All right. Whenever they show a family picture, the dad's face is always blurred out. It could just
be that.
Yeah, it could just totally be that. And Yuri's, for all we know, he's not going to be part of the plot at all whatsoever.
Yeah, maybe when the writer and illustrator were working on the manga, they were just like, "Hey, what should their brother look like?" And they just couldn't decide, so they just didn't put the face in there.
Yeah.
Just like My Hero with Deku.
Yeah.
Father never shows up.
I don't know. Maybe eventually we will.
All Might's his father. Let's be real.
That'd be
kind of like Piccolo as Gohan's dad.
Piccolo is Gohan. Well, he's stepdad. Actually. He's stepdad.
For all intents and purposes. Yes.
Because Goku.
They basically serve as.
That's another episode.
That is another episode.
No, but I really appreciated it exactly just how naturally they fall into, like, if you were looking from the outside in, if you didn't know that she was an assassin, he was a spy, she's a telepath, you'd think that they're like the picturesque version of the perfect family.
Yeah.
Right? And if you were an outsider looking in and you didn't have you weren't privy to what the plot exactly was, you'd think that they were just a normal family.
And that's the goal, right?
You know what's crazy, right? It's so when they finally get into the interview, because after Yoru-san settles in, Lloyd's like, okay, we're gonna review for the interview. And it seems to me whenever they're put on the spot where it's like front and center, they know they have to fake it. That's when they panic.
Yeah.
But then
I've noticed that.
Any other time, they're so natural together.
Yeah, when they're not thinking about it, it works. But the moment it's like, oh wait, now we have to actively think about it. Now it's like, what is this? I don't understand. Like when Lloyd gets nervous.
They start panicking, yeah.
You see him like you see like he starts to sweat, you get like the sweat drops. And there's like.
Yeah. Really the only time you ever see him visibly like bothered.
Yeah.
Because Lloyd seems like the type of person who he has to learn how to work with people because he's always done everything by himself. So it's like, well, I know that the job inherently comes with all of this risk. So what do I do to minimize the risk? Well, I just do it myself. That's why I think throughout, ever since the beginning, he's so frustrated about relying on other people, especially because people are they're just like a bundle of variables, right? You don't know how people are going to act. So you throw all of those variables into an already dangerous mission, and he's like, oh, dude, like how the hell am I gonna pull this off? I've got a kid who's even more of a bundle of variables than adults, and then I also have to get married. So he's like panicky. Yeah, but it is understandable that he gets frustrated because when he goes over to review questions.
Oh, Anya.
Anya, what do you say when they ask you, what do you do in your free time? Dad makes me stay at home. So I have to watch TV all by myself. And I'm thinking, dude, if that was here in the West, you get CPS called on you so fast.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
And then when he asked her address, she's just like, where? This house where we are. Oh.
Yeah, and
Just
then
the
he asked
most simple
Yodo-san,
things.
like, how do how would you pass the exam? And she's like, how
the
do people
normally
usually pass?
pass.
Like cardiac arrest, like they may be like systemic bleeding, or getting your skull caved in. I'm like, bro, like what?
And this motherfucker Lloyd just like, well, that's the wrong answer. Like completely unfazed by her responses. Is like, that's incorrect. But
No, he was like, kill me
yes,
out.
yeah. It wasn't like, wow, why is she saying those things? It's just like, wow, all of the answers are so wrong. I just don't want to continue.
Yeah. So I can understand why he gets visibly frustrated, but then so it's like, all right, well, it seems like just going off of the interview questions is not really working. So he tries to, all right, maybe let's have like a family outing, and then he does all this stuff that he thinks really like highbrow, high class people would do on an outing. So like takes him to the opera, and Anya's just like passed out. Yodo-san's
no
head is
interest.
like her head's visibly letting off steam. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. And then Lloyd's over here like, okay, accomplished.
I liked the art museum.
I was about to say that.
The art museum.
When yours looking up the fucking
Guillotine.
The guillotine, and then she's just got that love look. But then there was also Anya just shout. He's like, "Oh, make sure you're quiet and behave." I could see her boobies. I was like, "This is," and then Lloyd's just like, "This is awful."
And she's like, that lady's head is chopped off. That dude's body is chopped off. And Lloyd's like, dude, I thought we established that you're supposed to be quiet. You know? But I mean, that's what makes her so endearing, right? It's like no matter what, she's still gonna act like a kid.
Yeah, it's exactly like you said. Like when they're told to act a certain way, they panic and they don't.
Yes,
really
they
know
do.
What to do.
Yeah.
But when it's just natural circumstances,
Yeah.
they do it quite well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because in the art museum, that's exactly how kids would react.
100%.
Absolutely.
Right?
Well,
There's
boobies.
Certain
Yeah.
kids, certain.
other kids would whine and cry and not even go. But yeah, and you see that reinforced too by NPCs throughout the series, where it's like, "Oh, you guys make such a lovely couple," when they're not trying to, like
Yes.
a personal comment on it.
Yeah.
But whenever they're just chaos, there's nobody commenting, "Oh, you're such a normal family." But whenever they're not trying to be,
Yeah. Exactly.
Very awkward.
yeah,
They act exactly how they're supposed to act if they don't think about it.
yeah,
Right?
Yeah, you would think that would be the case all the time because, as you pointed out before, like they're very different. Their professions make them socially awkward. So you would think things will be strange all the time. And like you said before, like when it's not asked of them, it's very natural.
Yeah.
For them to be
No,
play
you know what?
those roles.
I have a theory about that. I think it's because they've been so isolated from normal lives for so long that inherently there's a part of them that wants it. And
yeah.
when they're given the opportunity to kind of just fall into that role, they fall into it naturally, right?
Yeah.
Even at the
Yeah, that's what I was
restaurant,
thinking.
what does Anya do when she's ordering her food, right? Like what do kids do? They pick at their favorite things and then just kind of push aside all the stuff that they don't
Yep.
like, right? And then Yodo-san's like looking at her knife,
knife,
looking at the butter knife, like, oh,
the knifeu waifu.
oh, dude, that's a good one.
Hell yeah,
That's a good one. She's gonna be the knifeu waifu,
The knifeu waifu.
right? And then when they're finally at the park and they're observing, I thought that was really cool because it's like they're observing from on top of the hill, and then it's like they're looking from the outside in, right? They're
Oh,
looking
yeah.
at the outsider's perspective, where this must be what it's like
To be normal.
to have a normal life, right? You've got the kids, they're playing on the stairs, and then you know what's again, it's like it's another scenario from us. We're outsiders looking in when they're watching those people. I mean, Lloyd's got his arms around Anya, right? Because she's sitting on the ledge.
Yeah.
And then Yodo-san is like just right next to her, and they're
Yeah,
just
they're
having
just
casual
standing, yeah.
conversation, enjoying a day out in the park, and they're exactly a normal family.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting watching that dynamic of how naturally they fall into that. Like you said, I think there is that subconscious yearning for it. And I'm interested to see when or if that starts clicking for them. Like, wait a minute, this is something I want. I want to keep this.
Yeah.
What can I do to preserve it?
Yeah.
And then maybe it shifts from here's my mission to secure world peace to here's my mission, secure my family.
Yeah. You actually also get a little bit of an insight into Yoru-san's, maybe her MO, because when she's talking about the people in the park,
Yeah.
she's like, it's funny because she works for it looks like she works for the government, right?
Yeah.
Or some kind of public affairs office, and she's like, well, I like doing my job, and I want to do my job well, precisely because I want to kind of preserve this peace around here.
Yes.
But it's like, well, are you talking about your civil servant duties, or are you talking about your assassination duties, right? Because I'm assuming you work for this side, and
We know that you work for this.
yeah, like you want to prevent war, so you kind of preserve the peace and the tranquility that these people get to live every single day.
Do we know if her assassination job has to do with affecting the war effort?
It probably does.
I think
Yeah.
that's just something we're piecing together. It hasn't
Yeah.
been explicitly stated. Because right now it's just her trying to hide the fact that she's an assassin and blend in.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to be suspected. So it's still ambiguous to which side she is on. But based on, for example, the scene when they got to the political rally,
Yes.
it didn't seem like she was vibing with, yeah, I'm with these people kind of thing either.
Yeah, because
Because that was like a really toxic, hostile environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, because as far as we know, she could be working for the other side
She could be. At this
Yeah.
point, she could
against
be.
Lloyd.
Yeah.
I think they'll tie that into the show somehow
At some point, I'm
because
sure,
it'll make for some very interesting character.
Yeah, that's probably going to be like
interaction,
a
right?
climax kind
Yeah.
of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because remember in the first episode where I was kind of thinking, oh, this is like a Mr. and Mrs. Smith scenario, but it has Anya in the
Right.
middle also. This is still kind of like a Mr. and Mrs. Smith where if they find out that they are working for different sides, are they going to go on an all-out war like Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, right?
I mean, even if they don't figure out what side they're on, just the fact that, oh, you're an assassin, you're a spy, that alone can cause some
Conflict,
spicy
yeah.
friction.
Yeah.
It's like, hold
Yeah.
up, wait a minute, how
Yeah.
do we approach this?
we get a little bit of insight into Anya too, because you notice when she was when they were in the rally, and then all of the negative emotion and all of the negative thoughts.
I think it was actually less of the negative thoughts and more of the fact that she was in a crowd and hearing like everybody's voice at once. was
Yeah,
too
I
much
was
for
about to
her
say
brain
that.
process.
Yeah, we're starting to see that it's not just all sunshine and rainbows
Yeah,
with her
'cause
powers.
sometimes it's
like
hard
she
for her to
struggles.
turn it off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she struggles with the ability to effectively use them.
Yeah.
in a way.
You know what that reminds me of? Do you remember the Sony Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire?
Yeah.
Remember when he first
Oh,
got his
yeah.
powers and then he went to school and then
He could,
all
like,
the
hear
voices,
everything? Yeah.
hear everything. That's what I was kind of imagining what was going on to Anya.
That's
but it
probably
seems like
the
she can
vibe,
turn
yeah.
it off.
Andrew
It
Garfield
normally,
was
it
Sony
seems like
Spider-Man.
normally she can. But I think because she's young, I don't know what her situation is, how she got those powers.
Yeah.
I think she doesn't have full control over it. So sometimes
Yeah.
she can turn it off, sometimes she can't.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So
I honestly don't think she ever turns them off. She just like focuses.
Yeah, I think it's probably more of a focus than a turn off entirely. It's probably not like a faucet so much as like a beam that's wide
Yeah,
and narrow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's a good reference.
She actually uses it pretty well,
She
right?
does.
Because she focuses into the pickpocket,
Yeah.
right?
yeah.
The robbing
That's
That's
old
a really
lady.
good cute scene.
Which you can
I-
see her struggling to focus because she's still picking
It
up
starts
the other
getting the
sounds.
nosebleed?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because she's it's not that easy for
the
her.
part I spoiled on our
Previous,
session number
Yeah.
3.
Dude, that was such a good scene.
It was a
was
very
really
good
good,
scene.
yeah.
It's like
Yor was wild, and
dude, she jumped off 2 flights of stairs.
Yeah.
It must have been at least a 10-foot drop each flight.
10,
And she
15
did that in
easy.
heels.
yeah.
fucking
And then you have Lloyd basically going against his incognito thing. So it's like neither one of them acted in character as per their spy and assassin.
Yeah.
And you see them both kind of question, like, why did I do that?
Yeah. Well, I think it's really congruent with Anya's character, right? Because it seems like she really cares for the people and
Yes.
for the peace that creates.
Yes.
So when she sees the old lady get robbed, she's like, well, I'm going to go after this guy, right? So she chases him down despite the fact that, oh, I'm supposed to be playing a wife. And jumping down 2 flights of stairs and taking out a bad guy, it's probably not the most, like...
Discreet.
Yeah, exactly.
Action.
Probably not the most normal thing to do. Well, I mean, Lloyd's guilty too because he also jumps off from the balcony.
Balcony, yeah.
Yeah, he
which
does
is a
the
good 15, 20 feet.
the Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. Right onto the motherfucker.
Assassin's Creed dive. Yeah, Assassin's Creed
press the square
takedown.
after jumping on.
He's like,
Square.
what does he
What kind
say?
of
You
Xbox button
deserve
is that?
nothing but the foulest
PlayStation.
of.
Whose station plays?
Oh god.
Poll, Xbox or PlayStation? PC Elite. Fuck off.
we probably would get a lot of people like
I
that.
used to have an allegiance to just Sony, but then I'm like, well, a lot of my favorite RPGs are moving on to different platforms, so I can't
Yeah.
be biased anymore.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if PlayStation didn't have shitty controllers and maybe listen to their fan base, because they went like 5 generations where they didn't change anything, even though even PlayStation fans were like, hey, can we get a better controller?
I do have to say
No.
the PlayStation controllers are pretty bad.
Yeah, that was the main thing that turned me
Yeah.
off.
You think so? I actually like the PlayStation controllers because they're a little bit smaller. I got tiny
Well,
hands.
no, the it's
that's
it's
your
not
problem.
really the
That's a personal problem.
functionality. It's more of just like the wear and tear. Like you can go through them like that.
Xbox controllers were invincible. I could throw it across
Yeah.
the fucking room.
I've
walk
had-
over there, pick it up, and go back at it.
I've had 3 PS5 controllers already,
Whoa,
and I've only had the PS5 for like a year and a half.
yeah. Meanwhile, I
like
have.
$70.
I still had
Yeah,
my
they are.
original Xbox controller for like 15, 20 years, and it still worked fine because it was a tank.
I just bought a new controller, I think last year, and it's already starting to get stick drift.
Maybe it would be beneficial for you to get a warranty. You know how when you go to GameStop, hey, do you want like this like 2-year warranty for like an extra
and
$10?
you usually say no, fuck that.
Yeah, I
probably
usually
get
say
that $10 or $70.
I'm starting to think I might need to.
Yeah,
because
'cause they always
I'm
offer
running through these
Yeah.
PS5 controllers, man.
Okay, now that this is a gamer podcast, I guess we'll have to get Kev on
Anyway.
sooner than I
Well,
realized.
we got the RGB lights, so
That's true. We got RGB. I got my purple on me.
yeah, no. But I thought that was a really cool scene. They've got to give us some kind of action, right?
Yeah, for sure. That spice things up.
Yeah. So even if it was short, like I really like the Assassin's Creed dive into the crowd.
Well, I mean, even without the action, I just liked seeing them.
Just wholesome.
Yeah, being very wholesome with each other as a family.
Yes.
and seeing that the dynamic that they're throwing.
Yeah. And then Lloyd's like, a spy should never bring attention to himself, and then he does that Assassin's Creed dive into the crowd. I do like his one-liner. You deserve nothing
the
but the
worst
foulest of
meal."
meals.
Oh, yeah.
Something along those lines, right? And
That was nice.
then to kind of like top off episode 3, when they get back to the old lady, and she's like thanking them excessively
yeah.
with a handshake, right? That was a really special scene for me,
Yeah.
right? Because
Once again, you had the NPC acknowledgement. Yeah.
what I really like about that scene, you know how in every single spy movie or film or TV show
I think I know where you're going with this.
or book that you read,
They don't
if
get
it's
thanked.
yeah,
Yes,
exactly,
the thankless hero.
the thankless hero, right? It's the off rip. The assumption is like
No.
let's just say you're like a special operations soldier
Right.
here for the United States, right? You know that you're probably like if you're a Navy SEAL, you're always going to be one of the first people on the line.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're performing a mission that is like secret, right? So that no
Black
liability
Ops.
to the country, right? If you die in that
They're
mission,
disavowed. You don't even exist.
exactly, right? You're doing it for your country to preserve the peace and the freedom of your country, but nobody's ever going to know your name and nobody's ever going to thank you.
Yeah.
And Lloyd was having flashbacks of that
Yeah.
when during his early training days, and he was speaking to his commanding officer, and his commanding officer says exactly that. He's a thankless hero.
Yeah.
And then that scene when the old lady is thanking him, he's like, "Oh, it actually
feels nice.
Yeah, it
Feels
nice
really
to get
nice.
a thank you in person every once
Yeah,
in a while.
yeah, to be
We're really
recognized.
seeing a lot of like selflessness from these characters.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we show that they have the same human needs as us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone wants that that social interaction of like, hey man, thank you.
Humanizing.
Yeah.
Humanization, people.
It's
Once
really nice
again.
because then you start pulling Lloyd out of his shell, and he
Yeah.
realizes that he might be because I really can empathize with Lloyd because I'm very much the same way. Where if I can do things myself, I'll do it. I'm not averse to asking people for help, but I'll give it my that good old college try to see if I can figure out
Right.
myself, right? Because it's not that I don't like asking for help. It's like I don't like burdening
Others.
other
Yeah.
people.
I
And
feel
for me,
that.
it's also a learning thing, right? If I can do it myself, well, then I just acquired a new skill.
Mm.
So I think that's the kind of place that Lloyd is coming from. Although the whole thing with risk management.
I was gonna
is
say, I
important
think he
too.
also has heavily on the risk management side, where it's like,
Yeah, he's
I
like
know
a
what
very
I'm
good
capable
deductive
of.
problem solver.
Yeah, he's like, I know I can take care of this. I know here's where I don't know theirs. They're a variable. That's a risk.
Yeah.
They can fail, and then that means I can fail with no control of
Yeah.
myself. And he doesn't like that lack of control.
Yeah. He smashes the table and he's like,
destroys
sorry to fly.
It was a
Or the mosquito.
Yeah.
And
And
I
it's
was
important that's a mosquito because this comes into play at the beginning of the 5th episode.
Okay.
It's actually they actually make it relevant.
Yeah.
I won't say anything more because they haven't seen it. You might have, but they haven't.
Yeah. No, what it reminded me of, remember in the first episode of One Punch Man?
Yeah.
When Saitama was trying to kill the damn mosquito?
Lloyd more powerful than
Lloyd
Saitama.
might be able to beat Saitama.
I told Robert like Saitama could learn a thing or two from Lloyd. Got it in one shot, bro.
One shot.